Yeah, my name's Ian Reeves. We're in Wyndham Vale in Victoria. My wife was diagnosed with bipolar just over 5 years ago now, adult ADHD, OCD, and a range of different anxieties and phobias. Um, Probably within about 6 months of the diagnosis, she had a really bad suicidal episode, which probably lasted for, I suppose, well, by the time it ran its course, it would have gone for nearly 6 months. And she was just right on the edge for all that time. You know, and I went from working full time to I had to stop work. And since then, I've been, her full time carer. I suppose it came in dribs and drabs, really. Like, first off, it was, say, with work. I went from getting a phone call, say, at lunchtime each day, to in the end, I would get one um, by the time I got to work. One at morning tea, one at lunchtime, one at afternoon tea, one on the way home in the car. Um, and sort of the later I got home, sort of the more it progressed, I'd find Janelle still in bed, all the curtains shut, just pretty much in the dark. The kids out in the backyard playing games or something, weren't getting to school. Just a lot of the things around the house sort of started to stop, really. Now I look back on it and think, well, probably a good chance that why she was suicidal was because at that time she was going through all the why me's and I don't deserve this illness and I'm on my own. That was before we hooked up with any support groups. So pretty much she was on her own at that point. Like the first year she was diagnosed, I had no idea what I was doing, or it was only sort of when I really started researching the medications and what the illness was, and its effect and all that sort of thing. That's when I started to pick up signs of different things. So without learning yourself, you're just not going to, pick up much at all. And like from the start, when Janelle was going to see the psychiatrist, I would always go along with her to see him. And she sometimes she'd really sort of crack it, thinking it's more of an invasion on her. But like the way I explained it to her was, well, anyone can go to the doctor and walk out of there and you say, oh, gee, why didn't I tell him about that? I meant to mention that. You just naturally forget things. So you both go together, and you're both going to be learning as much as each other. And the carer needs to learn at least as much as the person that's affected by the illness. And the more you learn, the way better you're going to be able to cope. With the bipolar, Janelle could go 6 months where there wouldn't be a day where there wouldn't be something wrong. Like the doctor will tell us she rapid cycles, which should work on every few weeks or so. But it's a depressive episode can last for months. It might last for a day. And it can come on in, the sun could go down now and she'll start getting depressed. Could be anything. After a while, one thing I learned was if she is having a bad day, I wouldn't sit here and talk to her like this. I'd make sure I was sitting next to her. Anything from the way you say things, the tone of your voice, the level of it. You raise your voice a little bit. If I do that when Janelle's down, it's just, it can be catastrophic. She'll just go right off the edge sort of thing. And you think, oh, gee, what have I done there? We started going to bipolar support groups. Like the first night she went in and, looking really depressed, came out with a big smile on her face saying, oh, this person, they did the same thing I did and such. And they all sort of sat there and chatted about, all the experiences they'd had, and they were all so similar that, and they it had a great effect on her, going to that support group. One of the reasons Janelle and I started up our business called A Mile is because if you have a mental illness and you're having a bad day, if it's between business hours, you're fine. But outside of business hours, it's a real struggle to find the support and services. First thing we did with our current psychiatrist was ask if there was an after-hour contact for them. So the psychiatrist gave us his mobile number and said, anytime you need to ring, ring. So at night time now, we would tend to go in that direction more. Maybe ring Janelle's buddy, have a chat with them, you know, and sort of really look at dealing with it the next day. Seriously, if you ring triage at 3 o'clock in the morning and nobody's getting hurt, and they know that as a carer you're there, the odds are nobody's going to be there to help you. So you do need to have something else set up, like, you know, contact all your, you know, your things like your triage, your local hospital, your doctors, friends. Find out what you can actually do when things are good. Like, you know, when there's no, you know, sort of, there's no threat. Find out then what you can do. So then when you know, when you have to do it at 3 a.m, you know, you're prepared. Probably the first thing, like have things like a list of all your medications. So like if, you know, if an AMBO is involved, you can just go here, this is what, you know, the person takes. I have found a lot of people, all they really need is somebody to talk to. You know, it's like through the business, we've had people ring up at 3 in the morning that don't want to wake up tomorrow. And a couple of hours later on the phone and they feel way better. You know, just the chat and, you know, being knowing somebody's there to listen can make a huge difference. One of the things that gripes me is people will go and see psychiatrists and they won't get linked in for alternative therapies. You know, like in my book as a carer, anybody who's seeing a psychiatrist should also be seeing a psychologist. You know, somebody who's going to be working with them on, you know, what's affecting their life at the moment. You know, even as far down as seeing a nutritionist. You know, work on your diet and all that sort of thing. Because there's just so many issues that, you know, present with medications. You know, with weight and loss of weight and sleepiness and all that sort of thing. So you've really got to be hooked in with other groups. I suppose the biggest thing would be to learn as much as you possibly can. Also impart that, you know, like with the knowledge, like the carer needs to know it, as well as the person that's affected by the illness, plus any family, friends. Like officially, I think it's over 70% of families become estranged after somebody's diagnosed. And to me, that's through a lack of knowledge. Because, you know, like it could be a son who's diagnosed with schizophrenia, and for the parents, that can be horrific. Like they got no idea what's going on. And, you know, there could be some pretty severe issues, you know, in the household. And if the people around don't understand or have any clue of what to do, there are going to be problems. You know, they just are not going to survive. You know, so yeah, really knowledge is, you know, learn as much as you can and research who's there to help you and, yeah, go from there. And